I'm Ellie, and earlier this year I spent 4 months travelling in my self-converted Toyota Hiace Arcadia along Australia's east coast. And I've been documenting them in travel vlogs here, and this is another travel vlog. However, I realised I had a bunch of footage that I had not edited yet from a while back, so this is not going to be in chronological order. It is for the time between Coolangatta and Hervey Bay, so the kind of southern Queensland, Brisbane up towards Hervey Bay region. So this is not going to quite fit in with the order of my other vlogs, but I really wanted to share it with you anyway, so here it is. I'm Ellie Wilder, and you're watching Wilder in Motion. This video will be picking back up where I left off at the end of my Coolangatta start of the Gold Coast video. Good morning. So I had a great time at Coolangatta, but in the interests of keeping it moving so that I can see everything I want to, I'm now in Currumbin, right by the beach. And the beach was quite the contrast to Coolangatta, much more of a locals, quieter beach.
See that truck? I think someone is living in it, which is another kind of van option. If you want something a bit bigger, is getting one of these cube truck or box truck things, but I haven't actually seen that many around because they're so hard to park. There were two middle-aged men and a dog in the box truck, so probably just wanted a little bit more space, but they would be restricted to slightly less crowded areas like this so they can actually get a parking spot.
So I continued my walk down across the rocks to the neighbouring beach, and this is where I really started to notice the sand getting a bit lighter. It's very yellow in New South Wales, and as I ended up going further north, as you can see in my other videos, it did eventually become white, and you can see the CBD in the distance there as well.
Back from my walk, I've used my sandwich press to make a kind of garlic bread toasty.
And I spotted a rare plane during these pandemic times.
I wasn't planning on doing too much, just having a little bit of an explore today, and I left the spot where I was parked at about 12:50 just to go a bit further into the Gold Coast. It was a 5-minute drive where I wanted to go, and it is now 2:10. I've driven to like the other side of the Gold Coast because there was no parking in the first place. Hardly any parking here again, and yeah, there's been a lot of time that's just been driving around. It's not even that the parking's paid, there just straight up is such a lack of parking, which is so frustrating because it's like I don't have a choice, the car has to go somewhere and I'm sure the locals feel that way as well, just like the sheer lack of parking, which is probably this like over reliance on outdoor parking. When you're in Sydney, all of the parking is indoor because there's not enough parking on the street. They built like underground car parks.
So instead I went to Kmart to grab a couple of supplies I needed.
So I just got my usual groceries, and I also popped to Kmart for a couple of things. I got a scent for the van, which smells so nice, and it's one of those like scents that reminds me of something, but I can't put my finger on it. Some like childhood scent, that's probably why I bought it. Then I also got this little jewelry box because the box that I keep my jewelry in is broken, so I need to replace it. Plus I bought this exact same pair of sunglasses. I already have these, but they broke, and since they are only $5, I thought I would just replace them because I really liked them. And I also found these silver but gold plated earrings, which I've been looking for some like small gold hoops. So the classic Kmart story of when you just go to get one thing but then you find a bunch of other things but you're not mad because they're actually useful to your life. So I'm just looking at some maps to try and work out what I'm going to be doing because I haven't got that long of my trip left, and I've seriously underestimated how big Queensland is. Basically, if you want to drive from Sydney to the northmost point of New South Wales, it's probably about 10 hours. Just to drive from where I am now to Brisbane, I'm already in Queensland, to get to Brisbane is 3 hours. Brisbane to Bundaberg is 4 hours, and Bundaberg to Townsville is 11 hours. Good morning, I'm here on a bushwalk. It has been actually so long since I've been bushwalking because it's either been raining or I've been at the beach, so I thought today is quite a good day. It's not hot enough for the beach, but it's not raining, so we're back bushwalking. I'm just on the edge of Brisbane, so I thought I would do this on my way through. Look at this rock I just found sitting here. I've never seen anything like this just out and about in the bushland before.
And I did make it to a tiny little lookout called Poets Rock. I then drove to a place called Mount Coot-tha and I explored the botanical gardens just in the evening with the intention to climb up and watch the sunrise from the top of the mountain the next day. However, the engine was really overheating. I'd only driven the van for about 5 minutes when this started happening, and after I turned the engine off, there was just a huge amount of heat radiating and making the whole van really hot. So I was quite concerned, so I decided to drive to Brisbane early, but it was fortunately a false alarm and the engine did manage to cool itself down. So I ended up going to this place called Redcliffe the next day, which was just a nice sleepy town. It was a weekday and I encountered one of these beautiful pools that they have all over Queensland that I really wish we had in New South Wales, that are just publicly accessible and a really nice place to spend the day, although I didn't get a lot of opportunity to do that because I was always so busy. And you know a thick shake is good when the straw stands up by itself.
Good morning. So this morning I've travelled to Mount Coolangatta National Park and now I'm climbing the actual mountain. It's not a particularly long walk, but it is incredibly steep to get to the summit, of course, and apparently there's 365-degree views at the top over the surrounding suburbs, so we'll be up there shortly.
This was a very steep walk. I would probably go so far as to say climb, but fortunately it wasn't too long, so it was still pretty manageable. Just pretty hot once you got out from the tree cover, but spectacular views, really got a sense of the geography of the surrounding land, and it was really cool to see all of the white roofs reflecting the sun, which is something that I don't see so much in New South Wales. I then drove to this place here, which is called Noosa Heads. It's a very popular holiday destination. It's kind of like the Byron Bay of Queensland, and it had really good infrastructure here, so I was able to go on a beautiful walk across the boardwalk that was next to the water and take in some really beautiful views, and there was a whole bunch of walks going right into the bushland and also along the beaches. I encountered a bush turkey that was a little too curious. These ones are known to swoop. And then I caught the sunset as I was walking back to the van, and I made some pasta in the van before finding somewhere on the outskirts of town to park up for the night.
Good morning. So I really liked the look of some of these shops in Noosa yesterday, so I've decided to stay here overnight, and now I'm going to check those out this morning. And I've just spent this morning researching some of the activities that I want to do on the Great Barrier Reef.
I had a quick walk around as much as I could within the confines of my timed parking spot, which you will hear me rant about just now.
First thing about Noosa is that it's really busy. It's a midweek, not summer, not school holidays. I have no idea why there are so many people here, and I dread to think what it would be like in peak holiday times. Very, very difficult to get parking in the main part of town, and I found that in a couple of places. It just seems like they're really non-committal about multi-story car parks because they're in denial about how big the town has gotten. And finally, just in general in Queensland so far, I've noticed the level of public facilities and parklands are just much nicer and at a higher level of infrastructure and things like that. The walk that I did yesterday was entirely wheelchair accessible and had drinking water and toilets way out at these kind of remote beaches. They had areas to sit, and it was all just really nice and really well done. Something like that I've really never seen in New South Wales. So I couldn't get any parking at the main beach, so I'm just taking a short walk to Tea Tree Bay, but it's going to be a lot more quiet and less crowded, so it's not too bad.
So I ended up going swimming at one of the small bays that I had walked past the previous day. It was really nice because there wasn't too many people around and the waves were nice and calm. It was just really relaxing. And then I walked back along the boardwalk to the main town, got myself a boost juice and just sat on the main beach where the main sets of flags were. And as you can see, there's some more people.
Okay, long story short, I was running low on petrol, but I wanted to get to Hervey Bay this evening, but the petrol was really expensive in Noosa, so I just topped up a little bit there, and I wanted to get to this cheaper petrol station along my way, but it closes at 7, so I was cutting a bit fine to get there, but I got there in time. But this petrol station wasn't just closed, it was permanently fenced off. I don't know how on Fuel Map Australia the price was updated 11 hours ago, because it looks like it's been closed for a long time. But I thought it's fine, there's another petrol station on the street that I saw, but by the time I was able to pull over, turns out I was traveling the wrong direction on the street for that petrol station, which also closes at 7, and it is 7:01 now. Good morning. So basically what happened last night is I parked in a side street. It was totally fine. It was definitely like the most remote kind of place I'd stayed. It was just a couple of like big acreage blocks. And then I went to the petrol station, which was actually such a cute little family run business, and it had all this like hot food and stuff. It definitely reminded me of what I imagine petrol stations were like back in the day. And now I'm on my way to Hervey Bay because I'd like to go to Fraser Island over the weekend when the weather's going to be nice and warm. And I also ordered a new phone, so I had that shipped to a parcel locker in the shopping centre there, so it's meant to be there now. So I got some groceries, I made myself some lunch, I also picked up the phone, which looks really cool. Basically my current phone is almost 5 years old, so that's why I upgraded. And this one is waterproof too, but I'm going to get a waterproof case for it just in case, but there wasn't any at this shopping centre, so I'll have to go somewhere else.
So this is Hervey Bay, and this is where I left from to get to Fraser Island. It has this really long pier. I think it's over 1 kilometre, which was great for someone like me who likes to walk. I did see this bird of prey and also these rays in the water, which was really cool because even in all of the snorkeling that I did after this, I never got to swim with any kind of rays. This was the most that I ever saw of them, and that's not something I'd never seen before. And that gives you an idea of how long the pier is. I then went to the local botanical gardens because I always like to check that out. It's an interesting place to walk around. This one was fairly small as it was regional and pretty quiet as well, but it was a nice place for something a little bit different and always fun to have a little look around.
So I'm just here in the botanical gardens and I just wanted to have a nice peaceful evening stroll, but I'm getting eaten alive by mosquitoes, and the worst thing about it, the mosquitoes here is they're so itchy. They're like mutant mosquitoes. I can feel them stinging already, and they don't go down for so long. So I've got at least 4 already, so it's time to go back to the bed.
And my Fraser Island videos lead on from here. So the videos that follow immediately along from this are my Fraser Island videos, which I will link below, as well as the rest of my Great Barrier Reef and general van vlogs, as well as my van conversion, so check that out too. Hope you found this video interesting or entertaining or useful, and if you want to catch my upcoming vlogs, then be sure to like, subscribe. I'll see you next time.